Hi, everybody. Thanks for joining us tonight. My name is Dawn. I'm the program coordinator for Keep Durham Beautiful, and I have some other amazing and intelligent people here with me tonight that are going to teach you a little bit about the Ellerbe Creek BioBlitz and how to use the iNaturalist app to participate. I will let Robert introduce himself and get started with that. And if you could all just tell us a little bit about who you are in the organization that you work for.
Hey everybody, my name is Robert Meehan. I'm the water management specialist at Ellerbe Creek Watershed Association, and I also do a lot of our nature-based education as well. So I'm very excited to have you all here, and we're going to learn about a lot about iNaturalist today and all about what a BioBlitz is. But I'll hand the intros over to my colleague, Madeline.
Thanks, Robert. Hi, y'all. I'm Madeline with the Museum of Life and Science, and I manage our nature and sustainability climate education for the Museum of Life and Science, and we'll be hosting and co-hosting a few of the events for the BioBlitz. And I will hand it to Katie.
Hi, everybody. I'm Katie Henderson. I work at Duke Gardens doing our community and university partnerships, which includes fun things like our regular BioBlitzes. We are outside of the Ellerbe Creek watershed, so we're not hosting events on site this time, but look forward to seeing everybody for the Durham BioBlitz later on, but we won't talk about that yet. And Ellie, do you want to introduce yourself as well?
Yeah, I can introduce myself. I'm Ellie. I'm an AmeriCorps service member with Keep Durham Beautiful this year. So yeah.
Awesome. And I think that Madeline was going to share with us the concept of biodiversity and the BioBlitz.
Yeah, just a super quick overview because we've got a short meeting and I want to make sure everyone has time to actually learn how to use the app, but we wanted to make sure that we understand what is the value and why we're making these observations. So the biodiversity is looking at all of the living things in an area, animals, plants, fungi, bacteria that make up this ecosystem, this interdependent web. And when we have a lot of diversity, that makes a really strong and healthy ecosystem that helps with things like clean water and clean air and is a life-giving and sustainable web and loop. But when we have threats to that biodiversity, things start to break down and we have environmental challenges and climate challenges. So we are doing citizen science where everybody heads out and helps to contribute their data by making these observations so that we can understand what is going on with biodiversity in a given area at a given time. So that's what our BioBlitz is. We have a defined geographic region that we're focusing on in a defined period of time where we're getting as many observations as we can to observe the biodiversity in that area. And from there, naturalists and scientists can start to learn and figure out what we need to do if there are threats to our biodiversity. So does everyone have the iNaturalist app on their devices?
And you can, I was going to say, you can do the thumbs up.
Thumbs up emojis.
Excellent.
All right.
Cool. Well, I think in that case, we're going to watch a short video about how to use the iNaturalist app, and then we will give you a couple live tutorials on both the Android version and the Apple version of the app. But we'll start with a simple screen share of a YouTube video. This is a YouTube video that was created by the Museum of Life and Science a couple of years ago. So it may mention a past BioBlitz, but otherwise, I believe all the information is totally relevant. So we begin.
Hi everyone, this is Jennifer Wiggin with the Museum of Life and Science. Today I want to talk to you about an app called iNaturalist. You can see I've downloaded the iNaturalist app on my phone. When you click on it, you'll go through a quick tutorial on how to use the app. It'll first tell you to observe. To get outside and observe an individual organism, you can pick something wild that's in clear, full frame for a photo. Then iNaturalist will automatically generate suggestions for you to identify what you have just taken a picture of. From here, you get to share your observations with the community, and you can discuss your findings with other people that use iNaturalist. Your observations are also shared with scientists that are working to better understand and protect natural areas in your community. From here, you'll be directed to create an account and log in. It's that easy. And once you get everything set up, you can go ahead and start making observations. All you have to do is click on the Observe Camera button down at the bottom. Here are some beautiful azaleas that are blooming in my yard that I want to document. All I have to do is hit that green button and it'll take a picture. If you're happy with your picture, you can hit Next, or you can retake your picture. From here, it's uploaded into this screen. You can see that my picture is at the top, and there's a bunch of information underneath with the date, a location point of where I'm at, and any projects or anything that I'm involved with. From here, what I want to do is click on this box that says, "What did you see?" When I click here, iNaturalist automatically generates a list of potential identifications for the plant that I took a picture of. You can see that the top choice says that they're pretty sure that this is the genus Rhododendron that I took a picture of, and I can select this as my identification. When I select that, it navigates back to the previous screen, and you can see now that my picture has been identified as that. If everything looks good to you, you can go ahead and share your post. Everything is loading up to iNaturalist as it syncs. And now I can see in my profile I have one observation. What else is really interesting about iNaturalist is down at the bottom, you can see you have a couple different buttons that you can select. If I select more, I get taken to a screen that says Projects and Guides. When I click on the Projects button, I can see that the project I'm involved with is the Durham-wide BioBlitz for this spring. So any picture that I put up that is in Durham will automatically be linked to this project. When you click on the Durham-wide BioBlitz, you can see all the other entries that other people in the area have made. Have fun using iNaturalist.
All right, so that was the video that explains kind of how to use iNaturalist. I believe that one was filmed on an Apple device, and now I'm going to share a live tutorial on how to do the same thing with an Android device. So if you give me a sec, I believe I can share my screen, and everybody should be seeing a phone screen. Does that look right? Okay. So I have the iNaturalist app as kind of a shortcut on my home screen. So it's really easy to just navigate yourself to the app. But wherever your app is, we're just going to click on it. And what we pop up with is my kind of home screen. This kind of shows all the observations I've taken over time, species I've seen, identifications I've made in the past. But what we're going to do is add a new identification. And on the Android version, you do that with the green plus sign in the bottom right corner of the screen. So we're going to click that. And you'll see that there's a couple of options for how to submit an observation. Usually an observation is going to be a photo, either one that you can take live in the field with the green Take Photo button, or one that you've previously taken with the Choose Image button on the right-hand side. But images aren't the only thing you can upload. You can also upload sounds, again, either live with the Record Sound button, or a sound that you've previously recorded with the Choose Sound button. So images and sounds, both different and totally valid types of observations you can make. But what I like to do is go out in the field, take all my pictures at once, and then come home and identify them later. And so that's what we're going to show you today. So I'm going to choose an image that I have taken. And a little while ago, I found a little beetle that was crawling on my wall here. We can zoom into this one. You can see my little beetle crawling on the wall. Very nice to see a little bit of wildlife, even if it's inside my own home here. But we've got to do a couple of things. Now, on my phone, I have not given iNaturalist location permissions. But if you have given iNaturalist location permissions, then your location will autofill. But mine did not. So what I'm going to do is navigate over to North Carolina and zoom into Durham and zoom in to the area of Durham that I am in now, which is generally kind of over in this area somewhere. If the roads will load, I'm over in this area somewhere, and we're going to click yes. And then the next most important part is to figure out what we saw. So we're going to type or click the what did you see button. And I kind of know already what I've seen, but I want to see if iNaturalist knows. And iNaturalist knows a little better than I do. I figured this thing was a weevil of some kind, but iNaturalist thinks that it knows the genus of weevil that I've seen. It thinks it's Odeorhynchus, which is exciting because I did not know that. So when you're submitting these observations, you can either choose what iNaturalist has suggested for you. iNaturalist has kind of an AI image recognition program working through it. Or if you think that the suggestions that iNaturalist has given are wrong, you can search for your own species in the bar here. And it's okay if you don't know exactly what something is. As long as you put something in here, it's totally valid. For example, I could say that I know this is a beetle, and I could write, I think this is a beetle, and accept that. I could say that I think it's a weevil in the weevil family, and pull up the weevil family here, the snout and bark beetles. Or I could click the back button and just, again, choose what iNaturalist thinks it is, which is Odeorhynchus, and I think I'm going to do that. After you do that, all I got to do is click the green check box here, and as it loads and syncs, we will see that my observation is uploading here. So that's one thing you can do with the app. The other thing I want to show you real quick, in the top left corner, there's a hamburger icon, these 3 lines over here. This is how you you get your additional options. In the Apple version, I think it's 3 dots in the lower right. But here it's in the upper left. It's a hamburger icon. And again, we can check our projects over here. And the project we're going to be working on this time is the Ellerbe Creek BioBlitz 2022 here near the bottom. And this is where we're going to see most of our observations come in. You can see what other people have submitted, etc. But this is going to go live as of midnight on Friday. So that'll be the first day. But that should run through the Android versions of things. And I'm going to hand it over to Katie Henderson to show us how to use the Apple version.
Yeah, so I will do basically the same thing that Robert just did, but quicker, because he did most of the important things.
Katie, can you also, when you do yours, show people the cultivated versus not cultivated and the geoprivacy?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. So I am going to do the same thing Robert did, although my screen is much more crowded, but I'm going to open up iNaturalist. And you can see it is a different format. I will say, if anyone is using the iPhone version of it, it does not have as many settings and options as the Android version does or the web version. So I tend to use the iPhone app for submitting observations generally. And then if there's additional things I want to add to them or search, oops, sorry, I'm shaking my phone around. Then I'll often do that on the web version. I'll log in on a browser on my computer to do additional things. But so here is that screen that Robert showed that shows all of my past observations. I'm going to do the same thing. I went out just before this program started and I took a photo. So I'm going to go to my photo library to select the photo of this spider that I saw outside. It did not like me trying to take a photo of it. So a lot of these are blurry or from different distances. I'm going to include 2 of them that kind of show different angles because that might help people to make identifications. So I clicked on both of those to get the checkbox, and now I'm going to just choose add. And so it has done that same thing. It started to put my observation together. I also, so looking down at the location point, similar to Robert, I have it set so it has no idea where I am. I'm going to click on that and do that same thing. Ooh, there it knows where I am. It just didn't know how to find me. So I am going to zoom. It's thinking. Well, that is where I am, so I'm just going to let it go there. So I chose my location. Yes, so geoprivacy. I'm going to click on, and there iNaturalist gives you a couple of different options for the privacy about the location. So open is just whatever location you put in, that's what gets associated with your observation. It goes into iNaturalist. Researchers and other people can see exactly what you put in as the location for your observation. You can, well, I'll go all the way on the other end. Private means there will be no location information saved with your observation. So that does have limited usefulness for researchers because they won't know where your observation is made. And a lot of the research that gets done with iNaturalist does depend on places that things are, but there might be times when you would want to do private. It's an option if that makes sense to you. But then in the middle is the obscured geoprivacy, and what that does is it so like I went in, I selected a point for my location. If I have obscured as my geoprivacy, what that will do is kind of put a square. It won't have a precise pinned location. It'll calculate kind of a general area. And so people won't be able to see the exact location. This is something that iNaturalist automatically does if you're observing anything that's identified as endangered, or I think it's mostly endangered. There might be other criteria, but if it's something where it might be sensitive, you don't want people to know the location because the plant or whatever else is sensitive, it will automatically obscure the location. So that's important to know. And then another really important thing to pay attention to is this captive/cultivated option. You can observe any living thing you can submit to iNaturalist, and often it's really great to help get identification on like plants that are growing in your yard that maybe the previous person living put there. But because of the different kinds of research that happen through iNaturalist, it's really important for researchers to know, is this something that people have planted? Is it a domestic animal? Is it something like a living thing that people are caring for or not? And so in this case, this spider is wild, so I would say no. But in other times when I've done examples, I've taken a picture of my house cat and submitted them, and that one I would say yes, that is a captive animal. So I'm going to stick with no for this one. And then going back, so the last thing I need to do here is say what I saw. We'll see what iNaturalist guesses. My service is very slow, so yep, it is not able to search. I am pretty sure this is in the genus Neoscona. And I am not confident of this species offhand, so I'm just going to guess. That's going to be my best guess. So I'm going to click share. And just like with Roberts, it is now syncing that observation and it will get submitted. Was there anything I missed, Dawn, before I stop screen sharing?
I don't think so. However, could you, or is there a plan to mention the expert identification after someone has uploaded?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, so I'll go back and just, let's see, if I explore on my app, it will take me in the general area where I am, and I'm going to see, I'm going to find an observation. Ooh, okay, so this is someone who observed this cabbage white butterfly. I am not an expert on these animals, so I am not going to fully submit my identification unless anybody else here wants to verify that that is in fact the particular species. I can
verify that species, yes.
Okay, excellent.
Like.
Okay, so I'm going to take Robert's word, but it'll come from my account. So as you can see here, this was, so the observation on the top from Spencer Worley, that's the person who initially submitted this observation, and they identified it as a cabbage white. This other observation below, that was someone coming in who is verifying that they are identifying it the same way. I'm going to do the same thing on my phone. It's suggest ID. And yeah. Ooh. Okay, I've got to find it because it didn't pop up. Whoops, click the wrong one. Did it change?
Not sure why it's doing that, but if you go
Yeah.
to the previous screen, it did look like, I think you can just press the agree button.
Ooh, yes, thank you. I will
believe
do that.
for-
I'm going to click agree. Doing some live troubleshooting here together.
Regardless, I do just want to point out the importance of this, I guess, briefly, what Katie's doing. Once an observation has been verified by at least one or two other people who ideally know what they're talking about, but tends to be experts that go into this app and have fun identifying things. Then it becomes a confirmed observation on the app, and once it's confirmed like that, it'll get a special green check mark, and it'll be available to use as verified data if any scientists want to come through and, for example, do a population study on say the cabbage white or something like that. So having somebody verify your observations is something that'll probably happen passively, but is also important to the way iNaturalist works.
Yeah, and to that point, don't worry if you are not confident in your observations, like if you're not an expert on caterpillars or spiders. The whole point is for as many observations to be made as possible, and then we have experts that basically come behind the scenes and confirm as many of those sightings as they can in order to get to research grade data. So don't worry if you're not an expert at identifying plants and animals.
And again, to reiterate one point I made earlier, the most important thing you can do is put something down. As long as it doesn't matter how broad it is, even if you just know that something is a plant or an animal or an insect or what have you, that's good enough that experts who are kind of experts in that field can come and identify the data from there.
Awesome. Robert, do you happen to have the link for the project available that you could put in the chat for people to look up?
I can grab it really quickly if you give me 2 seconds.
Of course.
And while Robert's
Go ahead.
Robert's doing that, I was just gonna say, another role you can play in the BioBlitz if you do have identification expertise, you can browse through some observations that have been submitted and be the one who is suggesting identifications. Especially like one of the things I do is I'll go through and look at the plants, the things that are listed as like a plant, and see how far I can narrow down what that is. And so that's also a thing that you can do in addition to submitting observations.
So put the link to the project page on iNaturalist in the chat. If you don't mind, I'm going to share my screen real quick just to show a couple of things. This is what the project page looks like. If you're interested in seeing what other people have found, or seeing the total number of species that people identify in the Ellerbe Creek watershed, what you can do is join the project in the About section here. It'll have a little join button and you can join there. One other thing that I want to point out is that I just uploaded my Weevil, and you can see that somebody has already confirmed that I ID 2 species. An expert in the field has decided that I found a rough strawberry root weevil, which I did not know. So you see, this can happen very quickly.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So one other thing I wanted to show is, as we mentioned kind of earlier, a BioBlitz tends to have geographic bounds to it. And I just wanted to show a map of where the geographic bounds for this particular project is. We have a map here. This outlined area is the Ellerbe Creek watershed. You notice it kind of takes a big chunk of downtown Durham from all the way near Hillsborough Road, down along Main Street and 147 to East Durham, and then back up again towards Falls Lake. So this is a very urban watershed, lots of buildings and roadways and impervious surface, but at the same time still some nice green space, and I think a surprising number of critters and flora and fauna that all live here. So that's what we're trying to figure out, is what lives in our urban area here. Cool.
Thanks, Robert. And then, so a couple other points. You can participate in the BioBlitz at home if you like, or on your own, just walking around your garden or your neighborhood or a nearby park. You can also join public events that are available on the Ellerbe Creek website. I posted a link to that in the chat. I think that, I can't remember, did you say Duke Gardens is or is not hosting one? Okay, but the Museum of Life and Science are hosting at least one, right? So you can join those public events to help look at the biodiversity at those sites, or you can just do it on your own time in wherever you feel like looking. And then there is going to be a countdown where we publicly, virtually go over the number of species found, the most interesting species found, and just a general celebration of science on October 9th. So the Sunday after the BioBlitz is over. Do you have any questions or any additional input from my co-hosts?
Yeah,
I was
go ahead, Katie. Sorry.
I was going to say that one of the things we wanted to be able to support people on is if you, especially if you haven't used iNaturalist before, to go through that process of submitting an observation yourself. This is kind of the presentation part, and I'll let Robert jump in with things, but I can hang out for a little while if anyone wants to try and go through that process yourself on your phone or other device if you've got the app. And just choose a random photo you took and go through submitting it. And if you have any questions, I can help answer. And yeah, excited to have all of you join. And Robert, you're going to say something too?
I just wanted to reiterate a point that Dawn made is we talk about the BioBlitz is a way of getting out into nature and exploring our local parks and nature preserves and things like that. But there's a lot of biodiversity often just in our own backyards. And I just really want to encourage people that even if you feel like you don't have time to get out and go on a hike or whatnot, you can just stroll into your backyard and find bugs and plants that you didn't know were growing there. And I think it's really important just to get to know the nature that lives around us, you know?
Yeah, and there's a question in the chat. I don't know if Katie, Madeline, or Robert might have an answer to this, but someone has a Girl Scout troop that's interested. They're doing this one for their own personal experience, but want to know if any of you, or if there are available short info sessions like this. I guess, Sally, do you want this to be like an in-person sort of thing, or just via Zoom like this?
It wouldn't matter. I guess what I was thinking is that they could take the pictures, and then if we put them all in like a Google like folder, then we could submit them, you know, like they wouldn't all have to have the app, but it would just to sort of talk about like the process of doing this and sort of like the bigger picture of why would be the kind of information, but how I don't think would matter as much.
Yeah, I think you know, we do have the YouTube videos to teach people how to use the app virtually. But I think it would be very interesting to create like a Girl Scout troop account on iNaturalist and, you know, upload all y'all's pictures there. There is a way to batch upload pictures using a computer. And if we have extra time, I can show people how to do that real quick. But yeah, I don't know. Do we have any other questions?
I was just gonna say, I'll put a link in the chat in a little bit, Sally. It's not for this, again, like we introduced that video before, there's some information that's been pulled together for a different citizen science project, but it does have some suggestions about how to do this with different kinds of classes or groups that I think has some good resources like Robert was talking about. I'll put that link in the chat when I get it.
Cool.
Yeah, so I think Christine asks, on the Android app, can a photo be selected from Google Photos?
That's a very good question. Let me try it out real quick. I choose the image.
I use the Android app and have been able to pull my pictures in from Google Photos.
Yes, I'm seeing it as well. It looks like it does sync, but I'm not 100% certain. But if Madeline says it works, it works.
Okay. And I was also wondering, because I know that there's at least one teacher or someone who works for a school on this call. Do you guys have any tips for like a teacher who's leading a class where it's going to be most likely one adult with maybe a tablet or a device of some kind, where we have these group events where it's like a bunch of younger people taking observations and then one person sort of uploading everything?
I'll say, so the link I just sent in response to Sally's question is it's geared at teachers. And so has a lot of great general tips about like how to prepare to take your class outside, how to explore together. I think my personal tip is like once you get outside and define a space for your students to explore, just be ready to be running around a lot to take pictures because they'll notice a million things. I've always had a lot of fun with it. I send the students off to find something and they buzz like a bee or do other things when they've like found something exciting, and I come over and take the photo, and I've got the app on my phone to upload that way. But there's lots of other ways you could structure it.
I have them share everything to like a Google folder, like a shared Google folder. That seems to help like get everything at least in one place. But yeah, they get so excited. They we usually spend a class just getting our photos together when we're doing something like this.
Awesome. Thanks for sharing. Any other questions or tips? I don't know, Robert, if you did want to take time to show what you were talking about.
Yeah, I can show real quick. Let's see what I can do. There may be if the people blowing leaves in the background here, so I apologize about that. But I'm going to show
It's the season.
Tis the season, right? So here we are back on iNaturalist, and this is again my iNaturalist account. If I click the iNaturalist button, it pops up. This would be my home page, for example. And what I want to do here is batch uploads. I'm just going to take a couple of pictures that I have lying around on my PC. I'm going to choose files, and we're going to do these pictures here. These are from somewhere I went earlier this year in Washington, D.C. So here's like 3 pictures that I've chosen all together. And you see they all come up together. They've all got their metadata synced. As long as you take a picture of the camera, it'll have metadata synced. Usually a phone camera does this as well. So it's got the time and date already populated there. What I'm going to do is select all. There's a select all button up here. Select all 3 of these, and then I can submit the locations simultaneously. And this was in a place called Huntley Meadows Park in Washington, D.C. So we're going to update that observation. You see all 3 observations have synced together. And at this point, you can just go through each one and choose the species. We've got a painted turtle, we've got a northern pintail, and we've got a Virginia rail. And just like that, we've can click the upload button and upload all 3 pictures at once. It's very quick and easy to use. So if you have them all in, say, a Google folder, you can maybe, I don't know if you can upload it directly from the folder, but you can certainly download the pictures from the folder to your computer and then batch upload them this way. May help. But that's one option.
Great, thanks, Robert. If nobody has anything else to add, we don't have any other questions, I think we can go ahead and call it a night.
So did anyone want to, especially if you haven't used iNaturalist before, did you want to try right now and have us as a resource if you have any questions?
Bill, I think you're trying to say something, but you look muted.
I think we're good here. I've used it a bit.
Cool.
So-
And I know where to get my questions answered.
Yeah, good point. If anybody has any questions or knows somebody that has any questions, I think all of us can be a resource for that. So feel free to reach out.
But this has been really helpful for me because I've played around with it a little bit and I now have a better concept of where I'm heading. So thank you.
That's great. That's why we do it. Thank you so much, everybody, for coming, and thank you to the co-hosts for presenting such great information. And we hope to see you guys out and about during the BioBlitz, which starts on Friday.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In the
Oh,
rain.
great. And Sally, you practiced during the meeting. Nice. Very efficient. Well, thanks, everybody.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
everyone. Have a
Bye-bye.
good night.